back to It's All Her, the podcast. I'm your host, Jordy Lucas. I'm the founder and editor at It's All Her. I was an actress in a previous life and I'm a mum to a toddler. I've got a lot going on and I have a passion for helping women live simpler, better lives. For the latest in lifestyle and entertainment news, head to itsallher.com. This week's guest, Dami Im, burst onto the Australian music scene after winning X Factor in 2013. Since then, she's gone on to release a string of hit albums, represent Australia at Eurovision, and compete in this season of Celebrity Masterchef. I caught up with Dami to talk about her career so far, how her fate has influenced her music, and of course, her time in the MasterChef kitchen. Here's my chat with Dami Im. Dami, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. You left the kitchen on Celebrity Masterchef last night. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm traumatized from watching and reliving my failure once again. But yeah, I'm good.
I want to hear all about Celebrity Masterchef. But first, I want to take it back to your childhood. You and your family immigrated from South Korea when you were just 9 years of age. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so I thought I was going on a holiday to Australia, and when we got here, my parents took us to, me and my brother, to the zoo and swimming, and it was awesome. And then one day I had to go to school, and that's when things got real, and I realized it's my life. I don't speak English, and trying to survive somewhere where I have no idea what's going on. So it was a challenging kind of experience, I guess.
Yeah, and I can imagine obviously the language barrier would have been really hard. Did you pick the language up quite quickly being young, or did it take you a while to sort of?
It because when you're young you pick it up pretty quickly. It only took me like 20 years, but
not too long.
But I think I actually remember having to play the piano at assembly one day, and everybody just looked at me and they were all really surprised, because they were like, wow, she's good at something, she's not an idiot, because she obviously can't talk. So I think music became something that I really held on to, and my big identity, maybe. And ever since then I just really practiced my piano and started to sing and do all of that.
I was going to ask you sort of, what are your early memories of falling in love with music and singing? And I know your mum was quite a big influence.
Yeah, my mum studied classical singing, so she was an opera singer, and we had music playing around the house. My dad loved learning new instruments and then giving up really quickly, so he would pass on all the instruments he used to try. Like, my brother picked up the saxophone that my dad ditched, and the flute he tried for a little bit, gave up, and so I started to play that. And music was just something that was really natural in our family. And I remember in primary school, when we would have invite friends over for parties, I would ask them to bring their instruments, and I like, that sounds so geeky and nerdy, and like I'm sure like some friends hated it, but they all had to, because I'm like, we're gonna play music together, like but I thought that was
join the band, the family band.
Everyone enjoyed that. But, I did.
So when did you realize that you were actually quite gifted and talented, and that it could actually be something that you made a career out of?
I think just naturally I was playing piano. I remember the school piano teacher, she recommended that I audition for the Young Conservatorium at the Queensland Conservatorium. They did a program for like young gifted people, like musicians. So I went and auditioned in this like scary looking university, and that I got into that program. So I started to learn from the like the professors, and they'd give us opportunities to perform in public. And so I think that's when I started to go, oh, okay, maybe like this is my thing. And I started to just do more competitions and aesthetics and all that. And it just, I liked showing off and being recognized. And, I was a big introverted show, so I enjoyed that. And yeah, I actually thought I was going to become a concert pianist, even though I actually didn't enjoy it that much. I didn't love practicing Chopin and Mozart. I just did it to get compliments from people. But I did love
them to tell you how good you are.
Yeah, exactly, just praise me. But I loved pop music and singing pop songs and K-pop songs, and so that's what I did in secret in my bedroom, just recording myself and just trying to work on that. And then in public, I was like playing Chopin, Rachmaninoff, things like that.
Did you write your own music?
I wrote some songs, badly, but I did start writing very early on, and I think it takes a long time to practice and get better. I don't want anyone to hear those songs ever.
Tell me about X Factor. What made you decide to enter?
So by that point, I had decided, okay, I finished my degree in classical piano. My parents are happy. Now I can go and do what I like. So I actually went and said, okay, I'm going to actually try out my singing because that's what I really want to do. And I went and did another course because that's all I knew. Like, okay, university is like how to get into something. So I did a master's in contemporary voice. So I learned like jazz and all that. And I loved it and I learned so much. But even when I finished the course, I realized it was really hard to actually survive and do things as a singer. Like how do you actually sell tickets to your shows and do things like that? And I was introverted, so it was even harder for me to like I couldn't just like schmooze and like build networks and all that. So after trying to get gigs in bars and I did singing in churches and things like that, I just thought, okay, I've got to do something, try everything while I still can. I was 24 and I'm like, my life will be over when I'm 30. That's what I thought at the time. So I better try everything. And if it meant a TV show, singing show, at the time I was like too good for it. I thought I was like, I'm a real musician. I don't do reality TV shows. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting anywhere. So I'm going to just put down my ego and go for it. And I was hoping to just get some exposure and be able to get some more of these bar gigs. And then I ended up winning it. So
and Dani Minogue was your coach on there. I just remember her. I remember watching the show and she was just like your biggest cheerleader. What was that like, having someone like her in your corner?
Dani was, I feel so lucky to have met her at that time because she was so lovely and she really knew what she was doing. She taught me so much about, just having the right mindset and having the strength to push through in the industry. And I just really loved having her support me. And she, supported me afterwards as well. Like she came after the show, she came to Korea and we we filmed some like a story together, and we went to the North Korean border with my grandma because that's where my grandfather was from, and things like that. Like she just went above and beyond, and I still feel so grateful for all that stuff.
When you first tried out for the show, did you in your wildest dreams imagine that it, one, that you could actually win it, but two, that your life would change and turn out the way that it has?
Yeah, no, not at all. I honestly just thought I would get some airtime, hoping I wouldn't get edited out. I knew I was very realistic about it. I wasn't like, I'm going to change my life. I was just like, hope they don't cut me out. hope they just show me sing maybe like once, and then I'll go and like pitch my shows to people and get little bars or something. So yeah, like winning was just a really insane and very very shocking for me and everybody around me and my family. We were just like, we didn't know what to do.
So tell me then about Eurovision, because you went on to represent Australia in Eurovision and you got the top score that any Australian contestant has ever received in Eurovision. What did that do for your career on a global scale?
Yeah, Eurovision really was a huge turning point in my career. Musically, my song charted in so many different, like 50 countries or something, and I found all these new fans around the globe, and they started to support me and come to my shows, and on a personal level as well, it just changed and shifted my attitude, because before then I was sort of still shocked about like having that kind of platform after X Factor. So I was sort of cruising along, but after Eurovision I just went, wow, I've got to really think about why I do this and how I do it and who I work with. Like I just started to really focus on where I wanted to head with actual purpose rather than just going with the flow. So Eurovision definitely was a big game changer for me.
Yeah. I guess a lot of people that have been on reality singing shows don't always have the longevity that you have had and that some other contestants have had. Do you think that you've had the success and the continued success perhaps because you had that training and you've had that formal training? Like, why do you think some people sort of fall by the wayside, whereas there's sort of a few of you who have continued to have success?
I think there's a lot of different things going on, I guess, but for me, I would say a couple of things. Like obviously, like I am very passionate about what I do. I'm really serious about being able to, perform to an audience and writing my music and sharing. And I don't give up on that easily, even though I've had a rocky time at in different periods in my career. I kept pushing on, just focusing on trying to make better music that I am totally happy with, and just keep growing and not being kind of discouraged by the things that let you down and circumstances. And another thing, I guess, is having the right people around me. I've been lucky to have really great team of people that I really trust and I love working with, and has integrity, and also my fans who do support me. Like since 2013, they just continue to support me as I grow and change. So I think those things all have to like mingle and come together for someone to be as lucky as me.
Yeah. And I guess you spoke last night on the show that you were so looking forward to going back to your husband. Your husband has obviously been a rock for you. What about your friends and family? Like, who else do you lean on?
I guess I have a few group of friends, maybe like from my local church, which is a really small church. And I think it's sometimes I just forget about the importance of community and relationships, because I get so busy and distracted with all the work I have to get done and the traveling. But then I think because of COVID and how I couldn't travel and do as much work, I realized the importance again of having people that I love and that love me back. Having a group of people that I can just sit and chat with, and I think that's super important for anybody to feel happy and secure. And like I think I feel that now more, because even though this year's been not the most amazing, you know, just being able to connect with people is really helped me to feel better, feel good.
Yeah. And you obviously connected with a whole group of amazing celebrities on Celebrity Masterchef. Tell me about that experience, and what was that like filming that in COVID times?
Yeah, MasterChef really happened at the perfect time for me, because my shows were starting to get cancelled and I had all this time that became empty, and being able to go on such an amazing show with these people that are just so interesting and different, and cooking in the MasterChef kitchen was it was really special.
Yeah. And you spoke a lot about how sort of Korean food is your comfort and it's a huge part of your culture. How excited were you to be able to showcase this on a national TV show?
Yeah, I think Korean food is really unique. It's got so much flavor and it's healthy. It's very colorful. And I really love being able to share some of my experience with it and my mum's recipes. And, you know, I've had lots of messages of people asking me for the recipes and recommendations for restaurants, Korean restaurants. And I think that's really cool that, people are more interested in Korean food, because I've loved it since I was a kid. And you know, when I was growing up, people didn't know what kimchi was, or, you know, bibimbap or any like Korean food. It was very new. They knew Japanese and Chinese food. So like I think Korean food's getting a lot more popular, and people are interested in it. So I'm really excited that I got to share some of my experience.
Yeah. What were you most nervous about?
I think I felt nervous about having to cook and talk at the same time. Like, and then like I watched the show back, everybody's so good at it, you know, they're like blah, 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 and then I'm just like cooking in silence, because that's what I do. Like I don't talk when I cook, but it's like, I suppose that's real bad TV, not talking at all. And cooking. Like, I'm not a, you know, kitchen hand, and I just went there to talk things. But that was hard. But cooking was fun, but talking was hard.
Watching the show, it seemed, and even looking back on social media, it seemed like you really gelled as a group. Like there was a lot of love between you guys as a group. Who did you get along with the most?
I think, like there was a really good bonding and like good vibe in the whole, contestant thing. Who do I do? I went to Dilruk's show when he came to Brisbane to do a comedy show, which was awesome. Loved it. We still message each other. Like I messaged Thorpe about some things, and you know, I sent them all my new albums, which is all these famous people getting my album. And it's cool. Like I have famous friends.
And like people from different industries as well that you probably wouldn't have met. Like where would you meet Thorpe? You being a singer, like that's such a cool way to cross paths with people.
And also be cooking. Like it's so random, right? Like cooking next to Thorpe and Rebecca Gibney, and just like, it's just weird.
So you were eliminated after a challenge last night, and your cheesecake didn't quite set in the middle. When you were listening to the feedback that the other contestants were getting, did you have an inkling that it was perhaps your time, or did you still think you might get through?
Oh, I knew straight away.
Oh, really?
My time had come. That was bad. And my cheesecake was served hot, like hot lava. Like who wants to eat gooey, lavary, hot cake? Cheesecake. It's got to be, cheesecake has to be chilled, and I knew that, but it just didn't happen. So
I've always wondered, watching MasterChef, like how do they keep the food? Because obviously it takes time to set cameras up and things like that. Once you've cooked, how do they sort of keep it fresh? And if something has to be crispy, how do they keep it crispy so that by the time the judges eat it, it's still nice? Like how does the logistics of that work?
So yeah, like, you know, with some of my other dishes, like the banquet noodles that I did in week 2, normally I just put the soup and the noodles straight away, but they told me it's better to keep the soup separate and then
Yeah.
pour it just before they're about to eat, so it doesn't become, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things like that. Like they make sure if it's meant to be a hot dish, they try and keep it, you know, warm until the judges get to taste it. And I didn't want them to keep my cheesecake warm, but yeah, they kept it very warm.
Can I just put this in the fridge for a bit?
I thought they would keep it in the fridge while I waited, but yeah, it was obviously something went wrong there. So.
What was the best part of the experience for you?
Best part? I mean, just being in the MasterChef kitchen and being on MasterChef, it's like now all my friends think I'm a chef, and we got given our aprons, so
Yeah.
I like that. Like I get to wear it, and it's the biggest flex, and people just, you know, just assume my food is incredible, even if it's mediocre. So I like that.
It actually seems like all of you have like a good handle on cooking, though. There doesn't seem to be a really weak cook in there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's some of us are better, I think. And I think as weeks go by, it'll show more and more, I suppose. So I'm kind of in a way glad I got off the show because yeah, like my cracks would have started to show.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like Korean food is my strength, but it's like how many Korean dishes can I do with these challenges? Like if they do, I mean, like when they did the dessert, gave us the dessert challenge, I was already like, I'm done.
I'm out. So who's your money on to win?
It's hard to tell because yeah, everybody, each week there was somebody who would surprise all of us with how good they were, and then some with how bad they did, and then other weeks they would completely change. So yeah, I think every week people will have a different opinion on who's gonna win.
Nick Rewalt was one that I was really surprised about. Like he seems to really know what he's doing.
Yeah, I was really surprised with Nick as well because I didn't think he didn't look like a good cook, you know. Like,
yeah, and he did like masticated strawberries or something. I was like, what even is that?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like I did my cheesecake. He did a cheesecake and a yogurt and ice cream or something.
Yeah, he was
like,
showing off.
Dude, you're not allowed to do that.
So tell me about your new single, Pray. I've been listening to it this morning. It's a bit of an anthem. Where did this come from, this song? It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's Pray is something I wrote this year, in the middle of this year, and I was working on my album, and I thought I was going to write something really fun and lighthearted, but that day that I was supposed to write with my friend Audius, we both got in the studio, and I think we were both feeling really anxious and you know, nervous about the energy that was everywhere. Like everybody just felt this uncertainty with in the thick of lockdowns and all of that. And we just said, let's write something that brings a bit of hope and comfort to ourselves and hope to people that listen to it. So we went down a more of a kind of serious and warm gospel-y vibe. And we started to write this like dark verse, and then we're like, hey, the chorus needs to be something that's a bit hopeful, and we got really stuck on the chorus. We didn't know, we couldn't find something we was totally happy with, and I was like, it just has to be something like hallelujah, and then he's like,
there it was,
do that. Okay, really? I was just an example, but we're like, yeah, that works. And then it turned out I really love singing that chorus. It's just like I like being able to just, you know, when the chorus is able to soar and lift into this this exciting new level.
It's very uplifting.
So it became, I didn't know if it was too kind of religious to be my single for the whole album, but then people around me, like my manager and everybody that heard it were like, this is it, like this is the song. I was like, okay, if you guys think so, then yeah, I like it. So
do you find that you are really heavily influenced by your faith when you're writing?
To be honest, up until now, I haven't really written too much about anything to do with my faith, because I just felt like, oh, you know, what if it offends somebody? Or I don't know, maybe I was just a little bit hesitant about it. But then when I was doing this album, I just wanted to be really authentic about it, about who I am and how much I've grown over the years.
Yeah.
Without talking about my faith, it's kind of like I'm not sharing all of me, and you know, I'm kind of hiding a big part of who I am. So I decided to just see how that would go, and it turned out like even people that aren't religious really connected with a song like that. So I was like, well, I can't really help how people react to my songs, but it's really nice when people do agree and like it.
I guess that's the beauty of music, though, is that people can take that song and apply it to whatever their faith might be, or you know, you don't even have to be religious to want to pray.
It's human instinct to pray when something goes wrong, when you're, you know, when you have an emergency. Everybody just, you know, stops and prays, you know, please help me. And even if they don't know who they're praying to, I think it's all built into us. It's in our nature. So yeah, I think that maybe that's why people can connect to it.
Yeah. So what is next for Dami Im? What's the rest of the year, and probably more importantly, 2022 post-COVID got in store for you?
What's that going to be like?
Yeah.
So I've got obviously my album out this Friday, my reality. So I'm going to, you know, I'm going to do a big live stream to perform, and then I'm hoping to be able to actually tour the album around Australia, hopefully. And yeah, I just, it's really, you know, important for me that I get to actually share my songs with real people, because recording is one thing, but being able to perform it in real life is like the other half of the wing. And I feel like at the moment I've just been able to fly with just one wing flapping around. So I'm really hoping to do the other side as well.
Yeah. So at It's All Her, we're all about making life simpler and better for women. How do you make your life simpler and better?
Simpler and better. Is this a serious question? No, I was going to say, as a woman, I get my husband to do everything. Simpler and better. But I think, you know, these days I am. Oh, by the way, I'm watching a TV, Apple TV series called Morning Wars. Anyone watch
How good is that show?
My gosh, it's so good.
It's so good.
But what I'm getting out of that is like, wow, that, you know, they really know how to take control and be in charge. And I love that. And, you know, I think that's something that I've been trying to learn more as I, you know, be in this industry for longer and longer. And as I get older, I'm like, I want to be like Jennifer Aniston. She's really cool.
Don't we all?
Yeah, such a badass on the show, especially. And yeah, I think it's good to be a boss, but not a mean boss, but one who like really knows what they want and tries to get it done, and also look after their team while getting the work done without compromising. Because you're scared of other people or other men or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's this crazy thing with women who are assertive that they're then all of a sudden like bitchy or nasty, whereas you can be assertive without, you know, being a bitch.
I think I've always been a bit afraid of coming across as a bitch and being like not liked.
Yeah.
I think that's common for a lot of women. But then it's like, no, sometimes you have to get things done. And sometimes when you when you're strong and you know what you want, people get offended, and that's too bad. And it's just knowing when to be assertive, and like, you don't want to piss people off for the sake of it. Like, I don't want to be a bitch, but I also want to be assertive enough to just not feel bad about people that are offended at me for no reason because of their issues.
And taking that pressure off yourself makes life a lot easier as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not my problem if people get angry at their own problems and project it at me. So
totally. Well, Dami, thank you so much for coming on the show this week, and I can't wait to hear the rest of your album on Friday.
Yay! Thank you, Jordy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of It's All Her, the podcast. If you have loved this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen, and I'll be back in your ears soon.